evening and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is September 13th, 2023, coming fresh off the heels of a CPI print that was, for some, hey, not so bad. For others, yeah, man, that ain't so good. Regardless, the market wants to say it didn't really happen. We are flat from after the announcement. Dollar had a massive spike to the upside, which ultimately gave back and then some. So that was a pretty hefty move there on the dollar as far as the spike up and then the release back down to a lower low. Lower low creating an environment where we did not make a higher high off the lower low when it was in fact trading side by side. So we do have some disconnect going on within there. Bender, for me, it's hard to look at that data and turn around and be like, yeah, no, there's no problem. Now, granted, one data point does not make something what it is, but if we're going to talk about being data dependent, we're going to talk about things that could be impacting us, like stagflation, like potential recession. Recession would only really be brought on by a very hawkish Fed moving forward. Them easing off the brakes would peel some of that back. So with all that being said, we did some messeries on the chart. Also want to touch in a little bit on Adobe ER. I believe Adobe reports tomorrow. For me, for years, Adobe has been a bellwether as far as that sector in general. So your Microsofts, your Nvidias, even though they're different, they're still the same in a lot of ways. So Adobe reporting tomorrow is a fairly big deal. And should kind of be looked at as being a big deal. At the end of the day, for me, man, this is just more positioning, more jawboning, more talk point for whatever the federales want to do. I believe that it's still priced in that, they're going to hold pat this time around. That CPI print does not help that. But at the same time, let's see. I know eggs are cheap. I know I can get T-bones pretty cheap. I know there's a lot of food stuff that I can get that's cheap. I don't know about the rest, man. Don't know how to kind of story up the rest of the game. So let's do some charts, bud. What you got?
Yeah. So let me share this.
Oh, sorry. Last thing that I want to put out, we had Phantom prints on SPY coming yesterday in that 463 range. We have not licked those yet, just for whatever that's worth to anybody.
My share here. Try this again. I'm having to close some. I think I have too many tabs open, so I had to close a couple. All right. Now it's moving. It was frozen. Okay. Here is a 60-minute on the ES. And essentially, I was looking at this level down here that did not get tagged. Right there. So that's what, 44.9175. We came down, tagged 95, but have not taken this 91.75. Below that, we have 44.84. This 50% level right here is from this low, August 18th, up to the high from September 1st. 50% of that was 44.9675. The 618 is down here, 44.74. Below that, you can see this 60-minute fair value gap down here. So if it wants to get going to the downside, if there's more work to be done, this is the big level, this 44.84 right here. That would take out these guys, and then this candle's low right here, 44.82, 44.82.25. If that gets taken, then I'd look to this 60-minute fair value gap. But I do think that it is encouraging that the initial move off of that print was down, and we saw the dollar spike, and the dollar immediately reversed, got sold off, and the EES rebounded. So I do think that is encouraging. We're now pushing up, and you can see the top of this 60-minute fair value gap here, 45.2275. So once it gets above this candle's high right here, 45.18.5, let's see, it just peaked above. So we'll kind of see what it does now that it's taken that out. See if it wants to continue, or if the goal was to take out these stops, because this is now taking out everything, right? So now we got to kind of see what it wants to do now that it's taken that out. But if it wants to continue higher, top of this fair value gap, 45.22.5. And then you've got this candle up here, 45.39. But if it's going to continue to push, I think it likely gets above 45.42 and into this regular trading hours gap. Remember, this 45.42, that was the midpoint of this down move right here from that 46.86 half high down to this low, the midpoint there. We were talking about that, I think late last week or Monday or something, about that being a big area. And if we zoom into a 15-minute, you can see that was kind of the top right here before the drop. And then we created relative equal highs right there. And this is where all the buy side liquidity is sitting. I mean, tons of stops right up here. So if it really wants to, if the direction is going to be up, I imagine this is still the target and into that regular trading hours gap. If it gets through that, then we got this high, 45.71. So the big levels coming into the day for me are going to be, if we drop back below this 44.95, and then I think you're looking at 84 as a minimum, and then potentially down into this 45.50 to 60 area, knowing that this 618 is kind of along the way there. If we push above these highs, this was the London session high, if we can push above that and maintain something up in here, then I think we're targeting ultimately that buy side 45.43, knowing that we've still got this 45.28 half area to contend with. Outside of that, we have another day. Yesterday was a valid seek and destroy day. Took the highs and the lows. And we have another potential seek and destroy type day. As you can see, the London session took out everything from the Asia session on the high side, as well as the lows. Now, we have already taken here pre-market, both sides of this, but that is still, it's still a potential seek and destroy type day. And I think,
Can you show me some dollar real quick and tell me what you think? Because the dollar is bouncing and we are giving it back now. I'm curious, like how that thing is kind of positioned.
got a trend line coming, something like that, right? So it's not surprising that it would get a bounce in there. This wick took out the high. So yeah, I mean, kind of opposite, of the ES. That wick took out all these highs and then sold back down. Let's go to a 15-minute here. And you can see these kind of steps along the way with the big draw. I would say being down in here, but it took out all this, everything that had taken place up to that print. All that price action has been erased on both sides. So kind of same scenario, see which way we want to go, which way they want to take it. Goes out. It takes out these lows. It gets back below, at this point, if it gets back below this 104,592, and we're looking for 104.49. If you look at the 15-minute, 104.49 here. Below that, 104.42. And then I think there's not a whole lot. Yeah, you've got this fair value gap down in here. Kind of down into that range. Obviously, there's this gap sitting up here. Something kind of like that. It reached up into this gap, right? You've got a whole bunch of stuff, little tops in here where, if it comes in and takes this stuff and doesn't retreat very quickly, then it gets crazy. Everything get very messy for equities up there. That's quite a ways. What's that? 40 cents or so up to that level. But right now it's just kind of hovering in between that high, this low, and chopping around in here until one of these breaks and holds. It's like,
yeah,
ping pong.
Yeah, ping pong, very squirrely. If they were looking for a reason to sell us down, they have it. That's all I can really say. If they're looking for a reason, they got a reason
to sell down the markets and
sell down the markets.
Yeah, gotcha.
To sell them hard and fast. They have every excuse and reason in the world for them to do it. Which I think in a lot of ways, just from the things that I was watching, we were hovering on these areas on Apple, and then we got those upgrades or maintains on Apple, and then we got this a move up from under 176, like 175.50, all the way up to 177, and Apple is still poised here. The question for me is, where does Apple kind of give based on this whatchamacallit, this reiteration pump, if you will.
Yeah. Hopefully, Apple was a pain in the ass yesterday. We'll keep an eye on it today and see if we can get anything going. Nice that it's up pre-market, but we see if Apple can. It's going to be really hard for us to, to get any mojo without Apple playing along. So
yeah, no shit.
We shall see.
All right.
We got sunny this morning.
Sunny.
Good morning, gentlemen.
What are you going to tell us about? Apple upgrades? You can tell us what's the story?
Hey, don't take my mojo. Hold
I'm
on.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Relax.
I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you. All right, I'll start with the news. So, last week I'd mentioned about how Neo and a couple of those companies, EV companies, are trying to get into Europe, expand the market. So, European Commission came back with they're investigating the Chinese EV imports and probably going to put higher tariffs on the Chinese imports, so impacting that market. So if that happens, obviously Tesla gets a little bit, more bull on that for the market. Moderna had a nice move this morning. They announced a few things. So they're expecting to have a revenues of roughly between 10 to 15 billion dollars by 2028. They got approved for the flu vaccine, so that was good. They're also starting the phase 3 trial for the cell lung cancer treatment, and they partnered with Merck on that. So I think it was up 5 to 6% this morning. Airlines, I had mentioned last week, how they were talking about, hey, we are fully booked and blah, blah, blah. And this morning, pretty much, they came out with, hey, our profit forecast, we're going to have to lower it because of the higher fuel cost. American Airlines was interesting. They went from 85 to 95 cents per share forecast to 20 to 30 cents, which is a pretty big drop. Um, so watch for the airline flow, AAL, SAVE, ALK, DAL, UAL, all of those. So activist Starboard Value has taken up a 10% interest in Blooming Brands. Blooming Brands, they own Outback Steakhouse and a few other restaurants, so it got a nice little pop this morning as well. Upgrades and downgrades: Ford, UBS upgrades, IMGN, uh, GoDaddy, GDDY, Gold, Apple, and Google all upgrades and maintains. And on the downgrade side, BALL, OI, Oracle, ORCL, and SLRN are all downgrades. And that is it. So much news today. But yeah.
All right. Very nice. Stonks, what you got, buddy?
All right, what's up? Hello. Welcome back, Sonny. Good times. Got some good stuff. Let's see what we got. I'll jump into my stuff, but I think based on the mention and what we saw yesterday, I think DAL is worth a look. That had some really nice flow out to December and a bunch of dark pool. Let's see what we got. So based on what Sonny was talking about over there, they had some 40 calls for December. What else did we get yesterday? This might not be everything because of the amount of flow. These October 42s were looking pretty nice, price increasing, and then there's a dark pool there up in that 40-70 area. So I know some people followed along on that one, but it's operating below this dark pool with the dip off CPI. So worth a look over there. But let's check out how some of this other stuff is looking at the moment. See, we can start over here on our smash burgers. Always good to start the day with a smash burger. So Larry Williams would be still short on the SPY and the Qs based on the fact that we had a higher high, or close above the prior day's high, and then we broke that low. So the stop would be up there on the SPY at 448.77. And then if we take a look at the Qs, Larry Williams would still be in short on the Qs with the stop up there at 377.50-ish. And this was the entry. So technically looks like he'd be red at the moment on his short, but would still be in based on the rule with the stop being above that high. So let's jump into the futures charts here. I guess I got Russell up. We could start with the Russell. So we have this got a head and shoulders, and this, I've been talking about the oh shit line all week, and it's still intact. All the candles are closing above it. at 1850.2. What's notable now in this area is that there's no fair value gaps left unfilled at this point. A lot of wicks, a lot of back and forth. So these are kind of going to be just, we got to wait on the break here. I've got this level marked above, that's 1865.2. We can see candle bodies respecting. It's been, support becomes resistance type of thing. So it's been a level that has been key in the past. And then below we've got this. This is the new week opening gap, that pink box down there. And then if we lose this, that would be, kind of confirmation of what. Now we've got a quadruple top depending on your time frame, but it's looking ugly unless we can kind of break out of this. Maybe it'd be some kind of I guess if you wanted to, be aware of the other side of things, you could maybe even start to call this a descending triangle, which is somewhat of a neutral pattern based on the fact that these are equal lows. If we pop that trend line, we can see what we get. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here over on the Russell. If we jump over to the NASDAQ, to the December contract, let's see. So we've got the hourly. Again, we've got a level here that all the candle bodies are respecting. So I'm going to be watching that 15,477.75. We've got the pink box new week opening gap. That's a good line to have on, good area to have on your chart. Again, if you are still kind of looking for those, this is the indicator right here, ICT. That's the one I like to use, and it gives you daily gaps as well. So that's that pink box there. We have a blue box above is going to be this 4-hour fair value gap, which is going to be this candle's high to that one's low. And then this yellow box above is going to be a daily gap that we closed below yesterday. That was basically this high to where we were opening yesterday, and then we sold off. So based on the fact that we closed below that, could potentially see resistance if we got up into this area on the daily, with room up to 15,657.50. If we slice through that, then I've got another order block line above. We'll keep an eye on that. And then below, we've got this orange gap. This could be, if we lose this level here, and potentially we've got some bulls with break-even stops down there, and then this could be a target below. Snow was going to be on the list for today. Was interested to see, so Snow had a dark pool yesterday that came in right around here, 166.83. I posted the dark pools in the room. So it looks like we're above at the moment. This was one where I was basically looking to see, is Snow going to be a double top, or we know that double tops can turn into bull flags. So we'll see. Snow started getting bullish activity post ER. I think they got an upgrade at some point over the last couple of weeks, and we saw some really bullish lines on Snow, but they're a little bit longer dated. So we'll see what we get today. I'm aside from the dark pool that's right here at 166.83. I'm looking above 168, psychological round number. There we go. 166.05 below is going to be what I'll be watching for. We can see we drifted. This is kind of we'll see support, bounce, and I think it came into play back here a few times. Bounce. So we'll see what we get on Snow. The daily inside bar, and then the other one was going to be AMD. AMD basically just rinse repeat of the triggers we looked at yesterday. It had a nice run, and then it stalled out, and now we're back in the triggers that we had from yesterday: 105.60 above and 104.30 below. We talked yesterday about this head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Looks like it's already broken the neckline and played out. And then zooming out further, we're still in this falling setup here on AMD. Other than that, that's all I got. I'll call the Apple levels in the room as we go, and that's about it.
Yeah, man, I'm not. I definitely think you have to be careful today. It's like I think volatility is going to be a thing. I think we can get a lot of whips and a lot of moves. This area that I'll look at, just for whatever it's worth, 1845 on SQQQ. I'm looking at for a make or break as far as break over and under. And 1870, I'll say the same on the other side. So there's decent range in there for it to make some type of a move on SQQQ. It's been a good little tell with some of the dark pools and stuff like that, Stonkington. But it does appear like there's a little bit of mojo in that chart. And if we're looking at some of the other tickers, it's a little bit lackluster out there. Tesla flow has been extraordinarily strong. Microsoft has had a couple of little tippity taps, but we're really, really lacking, strong, good, heavy bull flow. That is severely lacking at this point. So, with all that being said, it's like, man, let's try to have a good day. Let's try to be smart. I know a couple of people got up really nicely today on some of this move. Do not give that money back. If you sit there and you bang out serious cash, man, tomorrow's a new day, dude. Tomorrow's a new day. Lock that cash. Enjoy 24 hours of fucking greatness and feeling like a king. Go do something great for yourself. Do that, or do something great for others. But don't sit there and just gnaw on it and give any of it back. That's all I got. Anybody have anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right, everybody, let's grip and rip. We got about 12 minutes till open. Bender, what you got, bud? Anything?
I think he stepped away.
All right. We'll see you guys soon.
See ya.